My guest today is Sharon, who had a near death experience that she's going to share with us today in detail. Sharon, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me.
I'm doing great, Rich. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
are free to start at whatever point that you feel is most relevant to the story and take it from there.
Okay. Well, I've actually had two NDEs, one when I was 9 and another in 2001. And I didn't remember the experience in that when I was 9 until after I had my experience in 2001. And then the whole dam opened up for me because I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. Well, after I had the experience in 2001, I remembered quite a bit. So I guess I can start with the experience when I was 9, when that memory just came flooding in and I could feel the pain. I was there in the experience afterwards. And when I was processing my experience in 2001, and then I'll go to the experience in 2001. Um, so I was a little girl who was being abused is the word I'm going to use by a family member. And uh, one of the instances where that happened, he was beating me up and hit me so hard underneath the ribs that the pain was excruciating, and I popped up out of my body through my head.
Wow.
Yeah, and I found myself, and I didn't see the what was going on below me. I was in this space of felt I felt total peace and total love and a part of everything, where I had the awareness that I was a part of everything, but I was also knew who I was as this little girl, Sherry. My family called me Sherry. I knew who I was as this little girl, but my awareness was also expanded, and I felt a part of everything. I felt totally supported, totally loved, in joy, in bliss. I can't think of any other words to describe it. And so I was floating there in total peace, um, and knew that I was part of this expansive, loving energy. And I don't know how long I was there. I can't say whether it was a couple minutes, a minute, or eternity. It just felt like I was just part of everything. And then what happened after that was I have the awareness of coming out of that expanded space, and I'm back to who I am. And there's a being that comes toward me, and well, actually, I'm sorry, he doesn't come toward me. He's there. He's just there with me. This light being, and I recognize him as um, as Yeshua, Jesus. And I was raised Catholic, but I wasn't a good Catholic. I was I was didn't I didn't really uh resonate with the teachings that either go to heaven or hell, and that the saints and Jesus and whoever are on this pedestal where we had to talk to the priests, and in order to be able to communicate with them. So I was a partier as an adult later. And so anyway, I knew him at that point. I knew who he was, and he tells me takes my hand. He's crouching down in front of me and kneeling in front of me, and he says, "You've suffered enough, child. You don't need to go back." And I had the awareness that I had a a role I needed to play, or I had a life plan, mission, whatever you want to call it, that I had come to the planet to do. And what I told him was, but I want to go back to finish what I started, because I don't want to have to start over. And I told him that, and he says, "Are you sure?" So it was a lot shorter NDE than the one in 2001. He says, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yes, I'm sure." And he said, "All right." And I came back, and I don't remember after that what happened, but I do know that the abuse stopped. So in in 2001, many years later, I lived in Texas, in San Antonio, Texas, and I was uh, with a bunch of friends. There was 5 of us that we were going inner tubing down the Guadalupe River in New Braunfels, Texas, and we were there for a friend's birthday, and we had a really fun day. Everything was great. Uh, and we get on this shuttle bus. We had parked our cars with the outfitter that provides the inner tubes as we float down the river. We had gone on a float, that type of thing. We parked our cars there, and then they shuttle us to a certain part of the river to go out on the river, and then they pick us up at another certain part. So we had gone through. We were there pretty much all day, and had fun. And so we're waiting for the bus to pick us up, and the bus pulls up and to where we are, where we get out. And I'm in the front of our group, and I get on the bus to go sit on the bus, and all the seats were taken. It was one of those little small, it was an old small school bus with it only holds like 12 or 13 people. And so I got on the bus to go to the back, and I realized that, and I see that all the seats are full. And I turn around actually to get off, and people are coming on behind us, like, come on, let's go, let's go. And also the people in the back are like, come on, you can stand. So I said, okay. There was just something inside me said, you sure? But I just went ahead anyway. And I was the first one of our group, and I was in the middle aisle, and my back was against the back door, and my friends were in front of me, and it's about 2 or 3 miles, something like that, from where we were to the back to the outfitter. And the driver, and he packs us onto the bus. The driver's um, driving down the road, and he has it's a manual shift. So the bus is kind of jerky. It's pretty jerky as he's driving. At one point, he's changing gears, and I'm thrown up against the back door, and the door pops open, and I fall out. I hit the trailer hitch with my back, and I'm thinking, I can't believe I just fell out of this bus. I remember thinking that, I can't believe this is happening. And I hit the trailer hitch, and I bounce off the trailer hitch and bounce onto the ground on my back again, and then I bounce onto my side, and I realized that I'm underneath the trailer. The bus was also pulling a trailer that had our inner tubes and our ice chests and everything in it, like those trailers they use for equipment and things. And I realized I'm underneath the trailer. I had bounced underneath the trailer, and something tells me that he's going to run over me. The trailer is going to run over me, and I'm screaming. And I scream in my head, "Stop!" as loud as I can in my head. I couldn't verbalize it, and I say, "You're going to kill me," in my head. And as soon as I say that, the tire runs over my head, and at that point is when I pop out of my body again, uh, through my head. And this was quite different. This experience was quite different. I'm floating above the scene, and I'm looking down, and I'm seeing that my body is in the road, and I can see that there's a big commuter bus coming toward, and he keeps driving. He doesn't realize that I had fallen out, and I see a big commuter bus coming, driving toward my body, and I'm thinking, gosh, I hope that that commuter bus doesn't run over my body. I didn't feel any attachment to my body. I knew that I had died. That was my thought. Okay. And also I felt really bad for my friends because we because we had such a really good day, and I was thinking this is going to really ruin everything for everyone. It's going to ruin their day. Here we had a really cool day. and I go and die on them. That's what I was thinking. And I go and die on them. So I wasn't feeling bad or anything like that. It just felt natural. When I left my body, it felt natural because and I just had these thoughts that we've done this, I've done this before. It's not such a big deal. We all do it. We've done it many times, right? And so I'm thinking that, and I'm thinking about the rest of my family. I had the partner I had at the time. I was thinking about him, and I thought, well, he'll be sad for a while, but he'll be okay. And then I was thinking about my sister and her, and I thought, well, she has a family, so she'll have support from them. She'll be devastated, but she'll be fine. Um, and then thought about my mom because I kind of took care of my mom and my stepfather, who had passed in '98, who helped me progress tremendously in my spiritual awareness when he passed too. After he passed, um, I could, I felt a presence behind me, and I stopped. I just kind of didn't really care to look at the scene anymore, and I felt the presence behind me, and I turned, and it was my stepfather, and he was there, and he telepathically says um, that it wasn't my time, and I'm and I'm like, well, but I want to stay, and then he turns, and there's a tunnel opening up, a portal, a tunnel, and I see loved ones, or who I recognize as loved ones, within that tunnel, and I see like my mom's side of the family on one side, my dad's side of the family on another side. I see people that I recognize in this life, but also that I as ancestors. Ancestors is what they are. I recognize as ancestors, but I didn't know them in this life, but I recognize them, and I'm eh, they don't really look joyful to see me come home, because in my mind I'm thinking, I mean, I since I know that I've died, I'm used to a joyful reunion, that type of thing. So I didn't have that sense of a joyful reunion with them. Whereas I'm having those thoughts, there's a another huge portal that opens in I don't know, behind, I guess, because there's no time and space or behind, but I see my awareness is brought to a huge portal like the sun. It looks like this sun, just as bright, beautiful white, golden white light, yellow white light, golden light, and um, and I'm drawn to that. And this being, as I'm drawn to that, it doesn't hurt my eyes. I'm drawn to it, and this being walks out of that portal, moves out of that portal, and I recognize him as Yeshua, Jesus again. And he's moving toward me. As soon as I see him, I fly to him. I totally fly to him because I'm like, I missed him so bad. I realized then, and I didn't realize how much I missed him. I didn't realize how much I missed him. I missed just missed him. When I was a child, and I remembered all this afterwards, it wasn't because I hadn't been here that long in our time, in our mind, in our time, because I'm still aware of who I am. So he he telepaths to me also that it's not my time. And I argue with him. I say, but I want to stay. And he laughs. And it's just the most amazing sound to hear his laugh. It really is. It's amazing. Uh, his eyes are gorgeous. They're just light filled. They're just they're and the way they were shown to me was blue, bright blue, and beautiful light filled blue eyes. he's just pure love and pure light. He wraps his arms around me. I'm embracing him, and I feel this. It's like a merging with him, where I'm enveloped by so much love, so much compassion, so much understanding, whew, and that there isn't anything that I could have done that would have made him not love me. Nothing. It's just pure unconditional love. Uh, and so so I don't know. Again, I don't know how long I was in his arms. I just know that he embraced me and helped me in um, that moment, or however long it was. Um, so we're communicating, and I'm telling him, but I don't want to go back. I want to stay here with you, that type of thing. And it's not really words. I'm using words, but it's hard to explain. But it's a soul communication. It's a heart and a soul communication. And he tells me that you don't, and what he communicates to me is you don't have time to finish what I was, what I had, uh, my life plan, what I wanted to do here. Because at that point, I wasn't awake. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was working for an oil company in San Antonio, and I was a partier, and I did those types of things, and I didn't really, even though I believe there was always a higher power that was watching out for me, because I should have died a long time ago. I probably used up a lot of my exit points, you know, and these was the big one. So I didn't. I wasn't awake to my spirituality and my true nature. So he let me know that there were still things I needed to do. And one thing I forgot to say was my dad told me that my mom needed me as well when I communicated with him. So there was communication with that too. And so he told me that I wasn't done with what I needed to do, and or what I had planned, what I wanted to do, and what I the needed to do is what it felt like. And there wasn't enough time for me to reincarnate and come back and do it all over again. I understand now what that means. Yeah. So then he says to me, communicates to me, would you like to take a journey with me? Would you like to take a journey with me? And I, of course, say yes. And he puts out his hand, and I take his hand. And just instantly, we are what feels like moving through the cosmos, through the cosmos. I don't know how to explain it. The universe, the cosmos, through space, or space is moving through us. It's just, it's hard to tell. And then we are positioned above, or floating above, a planet who I recognize as a water planet. He he communicates to me that this is where my it's like a I know I mean our natural state is light, but he communicates to me that this is a natural state for me when it comes to physical embodiment, is to be amphibious, uh, that type of being on this planet. And so he talks to me, he communicates to me that this would be when I finish my job here, you know, my job, my mission, whatever you want to call it, what our goals here, then this is one that where I can have an awareness that's more where I can have this awareness full time. If that makes any sense. So, and I also, and as we're communicating, I get, I connect to the planet, and I feel that I get this, I feel that I am the body of the planet. I am the planet. I have this this knowing that I am the planet, and I feel so much love for all the beings and everyone and everything on my body as the planet. Yeah, everything. I just feel so much unconditional love for everything and everyone on the planet, my body. And then I can take my, and then he helps me realize and remember, I can take my awareness down to the tiniest microbe or whatever it is on the planet, and I still have that awareness of the that smallest microbe on, or cell on the planet. I can move my awareness back and forth from the planet down to the smallest cell, sentient cell. And then I bring myself, I'm back as I'm experiencing that. I'm I'm back as my awareness is me, as Sharon, and we move down into the planet, further closer to the planet, and we move down into the water. And when we did that, it just felt so, even though I wasn't in my physical body, but feeling the feeling of it in that density was so cleansing for me. And I know that he also brought me there to help with cleansing my soul, cleansing my um, my etheric bodies, things like that. And he told me that I can come there anytime I want to, which I did quite a bit in my meditations afterwards. But it got to be so emotional for me that because it's a home for me, it got to be so emotional for me that it was difficult because I didn't want to come back. They had to keep bringing me back. So as we're moving down, we move into the water, and I'm reunited with my family there on the water planet. I am reunited with my parents, and I have a mate there, and I have children as well, and I'm reunited with them. So I'm communing with them, reacquainting myself with them. Um, it was an emotional journey to be there with them, and it took me a while to bring these memories back. To be honest, well, why wouldn't I be honest? But it took a while to bring these memories back. Okay? And I didn't talk about them for quite a while. Now I don't recall the journey back to my body. I just remember being back on Earth in my body. And I jump up. I have nothing's broken, even though my head was ran over. Nothing's broken. I did have a head injury, and I lost hair. Uh, for There was bald spots on my head at that time. I was losing hair. They teased me at the hospital that I had tire tracks across my head. I had road rash, of course, and I have the road was, it was like 93 degrees, I think, out, so the road was pretty hot. Um, and I have muscle and um, tendon damage and things like that in my back, which I have to maintain, but there wasn't anything broken or anything like that. So I was definitely protected. I, um, I believe that when he was holding me, he was helping to heal my body. Yeah. And also the cleansing that I had on the planet, on the water planet, helped me, but it took a little while for me to remember it because it was so emotionally charged. It was, yeah, of
Well, thank you for sharing that experience. I
course.
find it very interesting that during the first NDE, Jesus said that you're welcome to stay if you want, but then during the second one, he said, "No, you have to go back." Did
Mhm.
you get a clear idea as to why that change was made?
Yes, because when I was younger, well, in 2001, I was I still needed to complete my mission, my plan, my job here, which was to help me heal lifetimes of trauma that I had brought forward because now I'm a practitioner and to help people with that. So I had to heal all those lifetimes of trauma because they were keeping me. And also remember, well, and that was part of it. I had to remember my agreement with my family member and why we chose to come back and be in that situation, that agreement where he was abusing me. And so I had to remember that because I didn't remember my childhood at all. And so after when my memory started coming back, and I was in my room, there was a point in time when I remembered him and I was in my room. I made a promise to him that I would be in my room every night at 9 o'clock and meditate with him. And all these memories just came flooding back, all the abuse, the experiences that I've had with extraterrestrials, uh, that NDE, tons and tons of stuff. So, so I needed to be able to clear this soul's, this Sharon, this soul's traumas in order to lift up and move up with this age of ascension or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, because I wanted to be here. I wanted to make sure that I was here during these times right now because if I would have died and left the planet at that point when I would have been born later, I wouldn't have had time to fulfill this life experience. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And you brought up something that I think is very important for a lot of people to think about. And it's a really, really, really touchy subject. It's really hard to get across to people, but you are one of many, many people that I have heard make the indication that w- people who experience traumatic childhoods actually agree to come experience that,
Hmm.
because that's one of the things that lots of people, they get their defenses triggered, and oh, what about the children that experience these things? And it's really hard sometimes to let people know, we nothing happens to us against our will. Would you have anything that you might want to add to that?
Sure. When I remembered uh, the the traumas and what I had chose, and I didn't realize that at the time that this was something that I chose, and it was during my meditations. And Jesus, Yeshua, would give me tools on how to work through things. Um, so I was having those communications, those conscious communications with him, and one of them was to work on forgiveness because I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on. I had a feeling that something was going on throughout my life, but I didn't have any memory of it. Okay. So I would party, to cover up whatever, that's what we do is cover it up, drugs, alcohol, and just not try to, you know, not work on ourselves, not try to understand what the heck's going on, right?
I've done that plenty. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's what we do. So and so in my meditation at one point after the tool he gave me for forgiveness, and it didn't mean that I needed to forgive the person or anything like that, but just find it some some way of forgiving situation or whatever it is. However, I could handle it. At one point I had this huge epiphany as looking at my relative, uh, my family member, and I'm looking at him in my meditation and just saying, "Oh, okay, I forgive you. I forgive you." It's kind of like fake it till you make it kind of thing, is what I was trying to do, what I was working on. And it hit me. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I also started seeing past lives, tons of past lives. And I saw the first lifetime that we had together because I realized that we come here to experience. That's what we do. We come here to experience. And we have a life plan. I saw where many, many, many lifetimes ago, this person and I had made an agreement. I asked him, "Hey, how about if we have this experience where you're really, really, yeah, ugly to me and end up killing me, kind of thing." But the idea is to close that karmic loop within that lifetime and have that forgiveness and move into the light of our soul and um and that part of me was fragmented. That part of me did not do that. Like a ghost, I guess you could say. That's what soul retrieval is all about, right? And so that part of me did not do that. So I saw that lifetime and saw many, many other lifetimes since then where I kept trying to come back with him and asked him, okay, can you lower your frequency so low to where you're a really jerk and you try to kill me again? You kill me again. And then maybe this time I'll finally get it and bring it in. I saw where he burned me at the stake as a witch in Germany, and that was really creepy. And so I saw all of these lifetimes where he did what I asked. He lowered his frequency so low. I had the better end of the deal, really, because he's just a real jerk, in this lifetime. Um, and it hit me, oh my gosh, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I asked him to do this many, many lifetimes, and he agreed because he loves me so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got goosebumps as I'm saying it. And he loves me so much that he said, okay, because when we're planning our life out, we realize we're eternal. And this is just it's just like being in first grade or something. And it's like it only lasts a little while, but it's to have that experience. And so he did what I asked, lifetime after lifetime. So finally, when I realized, oh my gosh, okay, I can break that agreement now. I understand it. There isn't anything to forgive. There wasn't anything I needed to forgive. So I was able to have that epiphany and that awareness, and I could break that agreement with him. And I tore it up. I had um, the impression and was told just tear it up, burn it, do whatever. And that releases not only releases me, but it releases him so that he can move on with his karmic um, journey, and he doesn't have to keep lowering his frequency in lifetimes after lifetime so that he can do that with me. Now he can work on his whatever he has going on in the rest of his life.
So the previous lifetimes that you are referring to, are they Earth lifetimes or are they lifetimes from the water planet?
The ones that I saw with him were Earth lifetimes. Yeah.
Okay. So I may have heard it wrong, but you
Okay.
came to Earth to experience something so that you could take that wisdom back to the water planet, or did I hear that wrong?
Oh no, no. What I understood and what I know now is that we all come to each planet, any planet, to experience, right? And this Earth is a really dense frequency, which I'm sure you know. It's like boots on it's the trenches. It's the trenches. So there's not many planets, I guess, where we can experience this really dense type of frequency, but we're moving up. And so what I know is that what I've learned from him is, and remember, we just remember this stuff, you know? And so we come from source and we drop down a frequency to experience. So it's since we're in such a dense frequency, that part of us can get fragmented and still stuck in the emotion and the trauma of an experience. And we replay that in our soul memory, in our records, just like we do that in this lifetime kind of things. We say things like, well, I can't get past that, or I'm still stuck there, or something like that. So a life experience that can happen too. So if we, the idea is to bring that experience into the whole of our soul, our oversoul, I guess you can call it, our oversoul, and then move on to a new experience. A new experience would be a lifetime on a water planet. That would be a new experience. Yeah. But
Okay.
home, of course, is with source.
Okay.
Does
That's
that
very
make sense?
fascinating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You did mention, let me see, what time do we got here? You did mention that you've had ET contact. Is there any way we could touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I remembered that as a child, I was being, okay, as I was being taken on board ships with three little grays who actually saved me from the family member many times. These memories just started popping up, and I didn't know anything about extraterrestrials at the time. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And these memories just start flooding in. I could actually feel the pain in my body as I was having these memories. Uh, and I saw three little gray beings uh, remove me from these experiences, and where he was there um, doing whatever he was doing, and he would and they would do something to freeze him, where he was in like a static state. And I know this is crazy, but in a static state. And they would take me, and I was in a catatonic state. Whenever this happened, whenever the experiences happened where he was hurting me, I would go catatonic. And so they would take me on their ship and heal my body and bring me back. And I don't have, I don't have any evidence of this or anything like that. The only thing, my sister would say that, I remember waking up in the middle of the night quite a few times because we slept in the same room at my grandmother's house when my parents got divorced, and that's when it was all happening. And and I remember you weren't in your bed a lot of times. So things like that, and I mean, I have extraterrestrial experiences to this day. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And these beings, whenever I think about them, I feel this really caring, loving feeling from them. So I didn't feel anything negative from them. And as I was recovering my memories, then I started having experiences with other types of extraterrestrials that would come to me, and different types of beings. And just recently, there was a being that came to me who was looked uh, had a female, and I hear her voice is in my room, and as I'm waking up, and I hear her voice say, "Sharon, can you hear me? Sharon, can you hear me?" And and there she is, just this female with a bald, elongated head, um, and the energy around her is just beautiful pastel color. She has beautiful human eyes. Her face is human except for the elongated head, and she's wearing like a robe with a high collar. And she says, "I want to show you something." And I see a TV with just the blank screen. It's black, just black screen. So she's showing me a TV. And then after that, it was not I mean, I came back here to this reality. A couple weeks later, I astral travel. Um, that's pretty normal for me. And so I was traveling one night, and I end up in this huge, large, golden colored room, and it looks like it's on a ship. I have many memories of being on ships, and there's what looks like her again, standing about 20 feet from me with her back to me. And she's wearing this gold robe, and it has um, intricate symbols or something in it. And I'm standing there just looking at her, and there wasn't anyone else around. And as I start to fade, and she turns, I say, no, she turns, she or he, I can't tell, but I can't tell the gender of the being in front of me, but I feel like it was her. And she turns around to look at me, and I say, "It's you." And then I'm back here. So when something has a lot of emotion to it, I end up coming back here.
Hmm.
Not always, but lots of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. Do you feel like when you had the NDE that you do remember, do you feel like that maybe like accelerated your spiritual awakening and maybe opened you up to being able to contact these beings?
Definitely. I believe that, yes, I believe I've always been in contact with them in some way, that because they were there when I was a child, but just on a conscious level.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely opened me up to quite a bit. A lot.
Well, I'm sure that after I upload this video, there may be possibly some people that would want to reach out to you with questions. Are you open to that?
Of course. Yes.
What would be the easiest way to get a hold of you?
They can contact me through my website or my email. My website is Sharon Sananda, SharonSananda.com, and my email is also Sharon Sananda at Gmail.
Okay. I will link all that in the description of the video. Before
Thank
I
you.
wrap this up, do you have maybe a positive message you would want to leave for the viewers?
Oh gosh, what I learned the most from my NDE, well, with my time that time with Yeshua, because he ended up teaching me so much afterwards. I sat with him every day after I remembered him every day, and he would sit there and we'd communicate, uh, um, and he just helped me remember so much. The one thing he helped me remember is that, which it took me it took me a little while, because he'd ask me these questions, and I'd answer him. He'd say, okay, what do you think God is? What do you think God is? You know, that kind of thing. And I said, well, God is in everything. God is this, God is that, you know. And he and when I go back to sit with him, he asked me the same question as if there was no time in between. Finally I got it. God is love. He said, bingo. God is love. God is love. And he helped me understand and remember that we are sparks of God. We are God. We are, gosh, we are expressing God source in physical reality. So that means that we are love, and that's really all we need to know is that we are love, and our job is to, I guess if you want to call it a mission or a job, is to be who we are, which is love. That was the first mantra he taught me, was I am love.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all that. That was a very, very fascinating experience to sit and listen to. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You have a good day, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Rich. You too. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye bye.